of me, of me. Turn around, give yourself the permission. Just know that you deserve it. But sometimes I get scared and dismissive. Don't wanna be this way. Don't wanna be this way, yeah. Don't you worry. Take your time, take it slowly. No, don't give in so easily. Yeah, you deserve to be free, yeah. Stop this thinking. Take a breath, stop your doubting. No, don't you see toxicity and worrying has no meaning. I don't wanna be this way. It's never easy feeling like you're so alone, and your heart feels like a stone. Think about it night and day, wondering if you'll be okay. I'm here in this place once again, suffocating. It's drowning me too deep. I know I've gotta stop this, so yeah, don't you worry. Take your time, take it slowly. No, don't give in so easily. Yeah, you deserve to be free, yeah. Stop this thinking, take a breath, stop your doubting. No, don't you see toxicity and worrying has no meaning. I don't wanna be this way. Navigating through the clutter in my mind, I do this all the time. Think about all you've done, it's a journey. Just know that you deserve it. Look ahead and keep on walking, walking towards the light. Oh yeah, stop this thinking. Take a breath, stop your doubting. No, don't you see toxicity and worrying has no meaning. I don't wanna be this way. Help me find the happy side of me, of me. Help me find the stronger part of me, of me. Turn around, give yourself the permission. Just know that you deserve it. But sometimes I get scared and dismissive. Don't wanna be this way. Don't wanna be this way, yeah. Don't you worry. Take your time, take it slowly. No, don't give in so easily. Yeah, you deserve to be free, yeah. Stop this thinking. Take a breath, stop your doubting. No, don't you see toxicity and worrying has no meaning. I don't wanna be this way. It's never easy feeling like you're so alone, and your heart feels like a stone. Think about it night and day, wondering if you'll be okay. I'm here in this place once again, suffocating. It's drowning me too deep. I know I've gotta stop this, so yeah, don't you worry. Take your time, take it slowly. No, don't give in so easily. Yeah, you deserve to be free, yeah. Stop this thinking. Take a breath, stop your doubting. No, don't you see toxicity and worrying has no meaning. I don't wanna be this way. Navigating through the clutter in my mind.
Beyond the Label, BTL, is a public education campaign that hopes to address the stigma faced by persons with mental health conditions in society. Having started in 2018, this movement encourages the reflection of our existing attitudes, the attitudes that we have about persons with mental health conditions, and how we can educate and equip the public with tips on how to interact and support those with mental health conditions by facilitating a lot more conversations about mental health and prevailing stigma associated with it. So BELL, the Help Board, provides information to resources such as 24 hours helpline, counseling services, caregiving support, and upcoming mental health events. It is a web-based option on top of NCSS initial platform on Facebook Messenger. And I think the other very unique feature is that there are keywords that allude to suicidal tendencies, and then people, will be directed to SOS, the Samaritans of Singapore. So, a very good evening to each and every one of you. Thank you for taking time to join us here tonight. And I thought, let's start the evening with some statistics. In 2016, did you know that 1 in 7 adults have experienced a mental health condition in their lifetime? And let's bring it even more recent. In a study done at the end of August by IMH actually found that COVID has really taken its toll on us as a nation, where 1 in 10 respondents met the criteria for mild to severe stress, and 1 in 20 respondents indicated that they had suicidal thoughts 2 weeks prior to being interviewed. So I think tonight it's very pivotal as we sit down, right, to have discussions on how we can actually support our children with regards to with regards to creating a safe space in creating conversations to support their mental health. This is an event organized as part of the Beyond the Label Fest. Beyond the Label is a movement led by the National Council of Social Services to address the stigma faced by persons with mental health conditions to ultimately create a more inclusive society. So, let me introduce you my 2 lovely panelists for the night. Charmaine is a counselor with Touch Community Services, and she works with children and parents for about 2.5 years. Okay, Karen is a caregiver to 3 of her own children and also a volunteer manager with Caregivers Alliance, CAL in short. So a very good evening to each of you. And to start, right, I want to focus on what are some signs and symptoms. So I want to start with Karen, because you are someone who had personal experience.
That's
so
right.
What are some behaviors and signs that one of your child exhibited?
Okay, so my son started with sleeping a lot and refusing to wake up in the morning, refused to go to school. He was withdrawn from us, quieter, less responsive to us, and So he was a lot quieter. So that was some of the initial signs and symptoms we detected in him.
I got that. Thank you for sharing that. Charmaine, would you have any other common signs and symptoms of depression? Because I think often, right, depression is, for the people who are aware of it, it's, they are aware. But for the people who are on the outskirts, and what are some signs that we can look out for that parents can begin to observe?
I can just share some basic signs and symptoms. So definitely you see the child, the person in a very depressed mood, a very sad mood. They may say like they feel very empty, they feel very hopeless, they feel very worthless. These are some common words that some signs and symptoms of depression that may come out. As well as you will realize that the activities that they used to enjoy, like for example, they love going for swimming, or they love like doing basketball, they suddenly stop doing these activities. They have no mood to do these activities at all. And you realize that you sometimes physically can see them tears, crying daily. as well as sometimes they may really have like very agitated, there'll be sudden change in their mood. You realize that they are very different from what they used to be. It's quite a drastic change in that sense. So when you feel that there's something wrong, not wrong, but something misplaced with the child, and you realize that, okay, my child is not as happy as what he or she used to be, do go up and process it with him or her.
Yeah, I think that's very important. And now if we were to shift, right, on if we observe abnormal signs, out of the norm, how can we better support our children? So, Karen, if you can share from your personal experience what you did.
So with me, initially I didn't suspect anything, but when he refused to go to school, I approached the school first. And in the school there was a counselor, so I spoke with the counselor, and the counselor told me that it's not uncommon. Teenagers, in the age group, they do sometimes suffer from depression, and that was the time that I heard that it's depression. I didn't know it was called depression then, I just noticed that he was not quite the same boy. Then I was referred to a youth doctor, and we went there. We had some medication that helped him lift his mood. I also work with his teachers. So actually, it's all-round help. So I have professionals. We work as a team to help him. So yeah, we got along quite well, because I think it's very important not only getting help from external, but from the family. They must have the support from the family as well.
I love how you share that it wasn't just you taking on the full caregiving role, but you included literally school, counselors, professionals, to come in that united support for your child, because I think that's so critical. Charmaine, how else, right? Other than creating, like in exactly what Karen did, she identified it early and she chose to seek help. All right. For let's say a mama, a regular mom who doesn't really know, but maybe I suspect that my child may be swinging towards having more negative emotions. What can I do to create safe spaces to begin to talk about mental health issues?
Usually, sometimes when you confront it directly to the child, it can be very scary. So what we do, sometimes you do like activities the child likes, do it together with your child, and maybe have a conversation that's, for example, you may be cooking, and you maybe can start out with a conversation. Oh, how's school today? How have you been feeling? And get them to really talk it out on their own. Yeah, just have the conversation free flow. Sometimes even when you watch a movie, especially the movies about mental health or brings out certain mental health issues, watch it with your child and maybe can talk about it, have it an open conversation as well. And I think what's important for parents is that they need to have this open conversation with their children, say, look, it's okay, let's talk about mental health.
Okay, I'm hearing you, and I'm just wondering, because I love how you say don't talk don't confront as if there's an issue, but do it while we are doing an activity. Are there some questions that we could ask a mom to begin to broach the topic, like open-ended questions?
Yep, you can definitely ask open-ended questions on something very general. Oh, what do you think about anxiety? What do you know about it? So you can come off as a curious point, and get your child to educate you. You'll be amazed at how self-aware a lot of children are about mental health issues. So you can use this as a starting point. Ask them a bit more about it, and what are their thoughts about it, and do they feel that they have any experience, or they know anyone who may have this?
Can I also add in something? I think a lot of the times teenagers think that their parents, they are the last person to come to. But I think as parents, we are quite open to be a good listener to whatever problems. The other thing is I believe that they do not like to be identified with mental health issues. So sometimes, like when I took my child, we didn't sort of go to a psychiatrist. We went to a youth doctor, but who sort of understand the growing up problems. And then he told my son, oh, I think you have chemical imbalance in your brain. So I give you some medication to balance it. So it's very science, sort of. So it's not medical. He doesn't really feel the stigma behind being labeled having depression or anxiety, because I think they want to deny the aspect of it that, wow, they cannot cope, things like that. Yeah, that's my take on it.
I love what you share, because I think very often a stigma is built now because as a result of prejudices that we have. And when you begin to use neutral words, like really, we are chemistry, our brain is chemistry. And it's like, very often when we have a flu, we just go to the doctor, right? We don't think too much, ayo, you got flu, huh? No, it's you've got the flu, and we've normalized that. And yet it's so interesting that with mental health, there seems to be such a shroud of mystery around it that like, ayo, can spread or not, maybe I don't hang too close to you. And the purpose of this discussion is really to debunk the myths, number one, and to really bring in education. So parents, I want to invite you throughout the session, if you have any questions, please type them in so that we don't have a whole barrage of questions at the end, and then we may unwittingly leave a few of you out. So continue to type in any questions, any signs or symptoms that you notice or you're unsure about. We've got experts here, experienced experts. It would be great to read your questions as we go along, okay? So the next part I want to move on to is, parents always have our kids' best interests. In exactly what you said, youths out there, as you listen, while it may seem that your parents will be the last person that you go to, and parents may not always be at their best for you, know that we are learning, we are growing, we are making mistakes, but ultimately we do care for you, right? A lot. We may not express it the way that you would prefer, but we're doing the best that we can. And I think the other angle that I want to bring out is parents, right? How much is too much? Yeah. It's like, can we overprotect, over-shelter our kids?
I think when it comes to mental health, it's just like any other medical problems, only that they have something dysfunction in the brain. So any other parts of their body are normal. We do not want to stigmatize them, label them as being sick. So as for myself, I treat my son quite normally. He's expected to do his chores and behave quite normally. I do not tolerate rudeness, and things like that. I set boundaries for him. So I try to, I suppose, treat my son as normal as possible so that others will also see him as a normal person. Because I think how we treat our children is how other people will also follow suit. So if we think that he's sick, then others will also think that he is sick, So that's how I look at it.
I love what you chose to do, right? In the self-fulfilling prophecy, because I see you as capable. You live into my expectation of who you are. So yes, if you're having a flu, I may go a bit easier on you, but you are completely capable of doing the household chores or whatever needs to be done. So I think that's a very important life skill in training them independence.
And that doesn't mean that I do not. At the same time, while I treat him normally, but I also support him with his mental health. I will provide, counselors, therapists, doctors, anybody that needs to help him along. So it's a many-pronged approach. It's not just one side.
I hear you. So what I'm hearing is there's a balance, okay, Junior? I don't just tell him, but he is supported by that loving circle. And now I want to ask you, Charmaine, I think every individual is unique and very different, and everyone has very different coping strategies. Am I right? What are some ways we can share with parents how they would be able to support their children uniquely?
I think definitely it goes back to the open conversation as well. Like you mentioned, every child has a different coping strategy. So is this something to talk about with parents? You know, the child can discuss what is their unique coping strategy, what makes them feel better. It may be completely different from the parents, but the parents too have to find their unique coping strategies. And I think what's also important is parents role modeling. In that sense, like when they feel stressed themselves, how do they release that stress? Do they go for a jog? You know, do they take their own personal time out? This is all your children sees. And they too say, okay, I see mom going for a jog, you know, it makes her feel better. So why not I do something of my own as well to have my own personal space? Yeah.
I love what you share. In fact, that's how I train my kids, right? I make the older ones come up with a list of things that make them happy, so that when they are going through a period of just not happy, I mean, we all go through the different cycles, you can then take out that piece of paper and look, hey, maybe I could eat this, or call a friend, or watch a show, or go and sleep, right? And everyone's one is different.
And I also think that in my case, we make adaptation within the family to help my son. So like we do more things together, because he's already feeling isolated, feeling lonely. So, and he didn't want to be sort of with other people. So we make concession for that, but we don't neglect him in that area. So we used to go to the movies together, and then we go makan sessions, and yeah, we do all kinds of activities. So we spend more family time while he's in this stage as well. And I think that's very important, because they must feel supported. We don't just listen to them, but we must do things with them to help them, so that they don't feel that they have to battle this alone.
I love what you say, because I have a few friends, moms who have depression, and what they say is, while I may not respond to your text, I read it. Just give me my space, and I get your love from just that message. So I think really creating that that support, right, and not without expectation. So it's not like I cook for you, why you never eat, not from that, but I cook for you, and when you're ready, and if you don't want, it's fine. I think that creates a very safe space where they know when they are ready, yeah, and to teach them how to listen to their body. And now I want to move on to the issue of stigma, okay, because beyond the label is the job that BTL does. I think it's amazing, because very often removing a stigma has to do with the psychological impressions that has been taught to us and passed down for generations, right? And it's no wonder that, do you know 3 out of 4 persons with mental condition did not seek any professional help in their lifetime? And the number one reason, stigma. I don't want to be labeled, I don't want to be branded, I don't want other people to say there's something, inverted commas, wrong with me, or that I cannot cope. Okay, so that's one of the big ones. However, I think as a result of COVID, and with so much awareness, the attitude has really changed. In fact, in August, just this year, more than 4 in 5, which is about 82% of respondents, said that they would now seek professional help if they were to develop any emotional or mental problems related to COVID. So I think that's one of the positive silver linings, right? And now if we were to look, what resources are there for parents to get professional help for their children or for themselves? Karen, you want to share?
Okay, so for children, they can go to their school counselors. The school counselors can refer them to REACH or to KK Hospital or Child Guidance Clinic. There is also campus side if they're in university, Limitless. There's always SAMH, Singapore Mental Health Association. I think SAMH. And then, and of course, for CARE, we also have a sister company, organization called Resilience Collective, where they actually cater to youth with mental health problems, and they provide programs and support for them. So these are the few that I can think of. I don't know, you have any more thoughts? Charmaine?
There are definitely several organizations out there and a lot that actually provide support for parents and children. I am from Touch Community Services. We definitely provide help for parents, especially youths out there. Our services are free for youths from 12 all the way up to 25 for mental health issues. So yeah, you can find our hotline on the internet. But not only that about Touch as well, there's many others as Karen have shared, and there's even some that are online, virtual. So let's say we feel uncomfortable talking to someone or either over the phone or face-to-face. We also have counselings out there, counseling sessions that you can do via the computer. You can type in and there'll be a counsellor behind the keyboard who can help you out as well. Me to You is one of them.
Wonderful. And together, I mean, I introduced it at the beginning, right? Bell, the help board, is something that you can have, you can go to in the privacy of your room, your office, just your home, to type in where they allow you to seek information about the various mental health resources and services available. Yeah. So I want to talk about the fight against mental health stigma. This stigma continues, right, to prevent people from seeking help, and it delays the process of getting help. And that's critical, right? Because the earlier we detect, the earlier we get help, the better. And from your experience?
Yes, from my experience as a caregiver, I think it is very important for us to educate ourselves, to learn as much as possible of the mental health conditions and how to help our child. I think I was very fortunate. I came across Caregivers Alliance when my son was an outpatient in IMH. So I was quite desperate at that time because, quite honestly, I didn't know who to turn to, where to go for help for myself. There are lots of resources out there for people with mental health conditions, but not for myself. And so I turned to Caregivers Alliance, and they have this 12-week program, which covers the biopsychological social model, and I find that very helpful. And because I found that very helpful, and I found a whole network of friends and supporters. And I think that is very important because it's a very lonely journey being a caregiver. A lot of the times have been misunderstood. Some will say we have bad parenting skills, not realizing, what we go through with our loved ones. So I found a lot of support there, and because of that, when my son got better, I decided to go back and volunteer. And after 2 years, I became a full-time staff, so now I'm working there helping others. So I think it's very important that we work as a community to help our loved ones that are out there.
I so love what you shared, that it is a 12-week course, and you mentioned that it's free, right?
Yes, it's free. So not only that we have this 12-week course for grown-ups, we also have a specially catered for youth, because now that we find that more youth, they don't go to the parents. So what they do is they go to their friends. So we cater to this youth for what we call peer support. So it's an 8-week, again, free program, more interactive for youth, so that they can help their friends, either in school, in colleges, or uni, things like that. Yeah. And we also have the dementia program for maybe a sandwich generation, maybe like yourself. So you may have parents who may have dementia growing old, and then you may have a child, with mental health issues. So that sandwich generation, so we also provide them, again, dementia is another 8-week program. So yeah, we try to sort of cater to all needs.
Thank you for sharing, right? For those, for the viewers out there, I think we have so many resources available, and the more we educate ourselves, the more we would be able to be individuals who affect change and support, whether it's my peer, my neighbor, my own family member, better. So yeah, thank you for sharing so much. So CAL, right?
Yes,
Just
that's
Google.
right. Yeah.
And Charmaine, for you? You do have, Touch, you were saying, has some resources?
Oh, yes. So, Touch Community Services, we actually have programs. So, we have the mental wellness program for age from 12 to 25, where we focus a bit more on mental health issues. And it actually involves like individual sessions, family sessions, because families are so important to be part of the mental health journey for our youths, as well as group work. But of course, if the youth is not comfortable with group work, then we won't leave the group work out in that sense. We do have other services, for example, like cyber addiction as well, where we do have programs, and for children as well, from 9 to 12 years old, because we want to catch them early as well for mental health as well as behavioral issues.
I think there's never too young an age to start, because the younger we start, the more the child can own that as part of who they are and how to regulate and how to cope, right? To develop their own coping mechanisms. So I think that's definitely very useful. So viewers, we want to throw this time back to you and ask you if you have any questions, whether it's with regards to your child or your parenting style, feel free to type them in. And we will answer them now. I see one coming out from Uhu. Uhu is asking, my child has reached a point where he is not talking to me, but I know he is feeling very, very sad. Any advice? Any of you want to take it?
As for me as a parent, what I'll do is I suppose I will be having just a normal conversation rather than just directed at his sadness, because I think we should not just converse with our child only during that period. We should be doing, bonding with them all through. But if at that particular moment or that period of time, we can explore with them and tell them that, we are there. If they need us, we are there to help them. We are there to listen to them. And if they do want to speak with us, we must listen very attentively. So I think as parents, I think we are not just providers, because a lot of the times we just want to provide the best for our children. We forget how to be a parent. That is, to show love and concern and their welfare, not only health welfare, but mental welfare as well.
Wonderful.
Yep, to build on to Karen's point, I think that's very good. Sometimes you just have to give your child space. Continue being a mother, continue showing that love and affection towards the child. And when the child's comfortable, he or she will come and approach you and tell you a little bit more on what's happening. But sometimes as well, you can actually use like certain programs like Inside Out, for example. It's a very sweet cartoon about emotions, and you can really talk about it, not directed to a child, but have an open conversation about it. Oh, what do you like about joy? What do you like about sadness? And just get a conversation started on that.
I love what you share about Inside Out, because I think, right, in the work that I do with many parents, in our Asian culture especially, we have been taught that negative emotions are bad and to be avoided, suppressed, or hidden from public's view. And I think that's why a lot of the stigma is there. When I need to put on a brave front, even though I don't feel like I'm up to it. I need to smile, even though I feel like crying inside. But I think when we begin to normalize emotions and say there are no good emotions or bad emotions, but listen to emotions just as messages, because I think emotions are our body's natural biofeedback, to tell us, okay, this is how I'm feeling, just take this course of action. Now signal here, so that it's that internal compass that modeling first for our kids and teaching our kids to identify their emotion and also take heed will set them up really for success in life, emotional resilience.
And I think a lot of the times as parents, we are so I suppose, what do you call that? We are so keen to want to provide solutions for them. I think we forget to learn to soothe them first, because when they have negative emotions, it's good to soothe them and let them know that it's all right, we are there for them, and not just go into solutions, because sometimes they know the solutions, but, that's not what they want from us.
I love what you say. Let them express the emotion, right? Just cry it out, just shout it out, allow it out of your system, because when there's no outlet, it goes inwards, and implosion is so deadly, it's so insidious. We have another question from Mahua Goswami, where Mahua wants to know about peer support group learning for kids. Shamin, do you want to say a bit more about this?
So in Touch Community Services, we actually have, like I mentioned, programs for children with emotional or behavioral issues from age 9 to 12. And during these peer support groups, we actually, or we call it group work, we actually do have online sessions where we teach the child about how to identify like body sensations to see when they're feeling what, cause when they know they're feeling angry, upset, sad, to identify these sensations. And we teach them coping strategies as well to see what suits them the best, what coping strategy really suits them the best. Not only that do we talk to the kids, we talk to the parents as well. We teach the parents how to really communicate with their children, you know, because sometimes parents think, oh, maybe I should just tell them what to do, but no, sometimes you really have to give the kids space to really talk. And you'll be surprised sometimes when the children really speak. They're very wise, you know, and you can learn a lot from them sometimes, yeah.
Can I just ask, out of curiosity, so are parents also invited to this support group, or they are solely for children? Don't quite understand that
Oh,
bit.
sorry.
Yeah.
So this support group, usually the group work is for children themselves, you know, and it's within the children, so other kids can also see that they're not alone, you know, facing these mental health issues or these anger behavioral issues. And what we do after that, we'll process the child and ask the child what they're comfortable in sharing with the parents. And then we'll share with the parents a little bit more.
Wonderful. I love, because what I'm hearing, right, is no more just the facilitator telling, but there's also that peer. So there's that first layer and the second layer of support that makes a holistic application of whatever is being taught, right, for the caregiver and for kids. So this question is from Samantha Ng. She is a preschool teacher, and she wants to ask for advice on how to talk about mental health to younger children, like 4 to 6 years old. Yeah, Shami?
Wow, this one is usually we use play therapy for younger children because conversations might be a bit difficult. So 4 to 6, usually they use like sand therapy, play therapy, get the child to talk or speak through toys in that sense.
I love what you say. And the other thought that comes to mind is drawing, right? Because I think at that age, while verbally they may not have the vocabulary to express how they feel, they can draw, right?
Yes.
And I think the interpretation is so key, because even the colors that they use could communicate so much, even if the fish doesn't look like a fish, for example. So very good questions. As you keep your questions coming in, it would be great, instead of just putting kids, if you can identify the particular age group. So for example, teenager, PSLE, or even what Samantha gave us earlier, that was wonderful, 4 to 6 years old. So then, because I think there are different strategies across the different age range of the kids. Yeah. So this question is from Mary. How about support groups for youth above 12 years old?
I think it's still the same strategy for children and youths. You know, for the youths as well, do we have their own support group where they actually can interact with each other, can share with each other, you know, the experiences they've been through, as well as what has helped them to overcome, you know, and their past. And sometimes we actually get youths who have overcome already, you know, have graduated from a program, come back and share their experience as well. And this will actually help hopefully motivate our youth, our current youth going through the program, to know that, look, there is healing in the end.
I love what you share, because very often it's different now when I hear from my friend or someone who's my peer compared to the potential facilitator being someone who reminds me of my parent, you know. So I think that itself makes the person open up to embrace and to learn and to deepen whatever is being taught. So Mary, earlier we covered, even CAL, they do have a program that is to empower youth so that they can be, they can provide support for their classmates, for their friends in their schools and wherever they go. Yeah. Do y'all have any other questions so far? Yeah. Okay, so okay, so we have duplicate questions, right? One from Yancy and one from Alwin. You want to find out more about the 12-week course on supporting mental health? Thank you so much. A shout out to the organizers. Well done. I would like to know more about the 12-week course, please. I think it's your 12-week course.
Yes, it is, yeah, so it's called Caregiver to Caregiver program. It is special because caregiver to caregiver who can understand you better with other than another person with lived experience. So these 12 weeks, the first 4 weeks, we talk about the biomedical aspect of the illness. We teach you about the signs and symptoms. We teach you about how to about that it is an organ dysfunction. It's about brain. Talk about why you need medication. Then later we talk about the psychological, meaning the emotional aspect of the illness, the behavior that it brings out, and for both the caregiver as well as your loved one. And lastly, all of us caregivers want our loved one to reintegrate back into society. So we talk about the rehab, the social aspect of the person's life. So you can get in touch with us from www.cal.org.sg.
Wonderful. So the first 4 sessions are on biophysical, and then the next 4? Psychological. And the emotions, and finally integration back into society. So you have a 3-part series, a very holistic course. Yeah. Okay, and I think as we look at this, the message that I keep hearing a lot is that we are not alone. And I think it's a critical message to put it out, especially during COVID, where everyone puts on a mask, right? And it's almost as if you can't quite see the other person's smile. Even my uncle, who is nearby, in the past we used to smile and you can just communicate with a smile. But now even that smile seems to be hidden. But it's really for everyone to know that we are not alone. All you need to do is to reach out. And I think reaching out is 2 ways. Reach out if you think you need help, and reach out to someone that you think needs help, because together we can really achieve so much more. So I want to take another question here. What can parents teach their child in terms of better self-care or to look out for their mental well-being? Yeah.
Definitely, first of all, to have this, parents must actually start up this conversation about mental health, and maybe something that a topic we can actually talk about in general, between parent and child. What are the common signs and symptoms? How do you know, what are your own personal limitations? Because everyone has their own limitations. Everyone will know that, look, I can't take it anymore. So you can discuss what are their own personal limitations, as well as to discuss what are their own personal coping strategies. Okay, what will make them feel a lot better in that sense, as you talked about just now, writing the list. I thought that was really cute. Yeah.
I think as a parent, I would think that I will let my child know that it's okay to feel bad, because it's okay not to feel okay, we have times like this, and it's good to talk it out if they want, and that we are there. The other thing is, I think we need to give our children time to space out, so that, they can just veg out and do nothing, not that every minute is occupied by some activities or some tuition or things like that. They need to have a downtime so that they can just do nothing and rest their tiny little brains, And it's okay to do nothing for a little while, because I think we all need that rest. So I think it's really, really critical for parents. That is part of self-care. We mustn't expect that they have to fill every minute of their time with something.
Thank you for the reminder, because I think in busy Singapore, we all become human doings, right? If I'm not doing something, I'm inefficient, I am not productive. But where did all the being go? And even as the two of you were sharing, it really got me in touch with my humanity. You know, where I look at my dog, right? And my dog can just lie down, relax, you know, don't have to prove to anyone, don't have to show off. In just that beingness, right? Getting in touch with ourselves and not judging those emotions or those thoughts, but allowing them to come and having that safe space to share, whether it's with a sibling, a parent, a trusted adult. I think that as we begin to, is exactly what Beyond the Label is pushing out in terms of creating the awareness and safe conversations, yeah? So Karen, I wanted to ask you, what made you join Caregiver Alliance?
Okay, so firstly I joined as so-called student, a participant, because I needed help very desperately, and they were the so-called at that time the only I suppose organization catering to caregivers with mental health issues, and I learned a lot from it, and I felt that what we learn and the help that I get, when I can, I should pass it on to somebody else, and that somebody else will pass it on to somebody else. I think we must be so-called responsible for each other, not just to ourselves. And I find that working in CAL is really fulfilling because it touches life, it changes life. And it's because my own life has been changed. I don't chase after success and wealth and things like that as I used to. I look at life a lot more wholesome, more holistically now.
Thank you so much for sharing. And can I just ask you, right, when you talk about the caregiver program, it's specifically for depression or any caregiver? So for example, yeah.
So when we talk about mental health ranges from anything from anxiety, depression, to bipolar, to schizophrenia, the whole gamut. Anything to do with the brain is called mental health. So we cover the whole lot.
And I asked that question because if you are thinking of just going for, just to upgrade yourself, I love what you said, like anxiety. It doesn't have to be something as severe as the diagnosis depression. But if, you feel that you are coping with anxiety, and actually what studies have shown that the top 3 mental health issues in Singapore are actually alcohol abuse, OCD, and depression. So I wanted to hear from you, Karen, with regards, because OCD is a term that, sorry, Shamin, I wanted to hear from you because OCD is a term that, we are more familiar and accepting of. Your thoughts on OCD as anxiety, the relation with OCD, anxiety, and stress.
So OCD basically is defined of like doing something repetitively, like for example, like washing your hand frequently, and this is not just like 4 or 5 times a day. Actually, by now, actually, we should be doing more because of COVID, right? But this is basically you wash it unnecessarily. So let's say you wash it, then 5 seconds later, I need to wash it again, or like even locking doors. For example, you lock the door. Wait, I need to check if I lock the door again. It becomes repetitive, and it also basically affects your day-to-day activities. So you do it till it kind of distracts you. So let me give you an example, right? So let's say you have a meeting at 1 o'clock, and you have to leave the house at 12. But because you are so anxious, that you have not, whether you lock the door, you have to keep on repeating something, you have to keep on doing a ritual, and that it makes you late for that meeting. Then you know that there's a problem because it's really affecting your life.
I get that. And the association with anxiety or stress?
Yeah. So basically, it used to be part of the anxiety cluster in the past because it makes the person very, very anxious. I can't leave my house until this is done, in that sense. Because if I do not complete this, then something bad might happen, for example. Or, or it will affect me some way or another, even though deep down it won't affect you, but you feel it will strongly affect you. So this is what it's called by how it's linked to the anxiety. It makes you very anxious.
I totally agree with yeah, because it used to relieve the anxiety in oneself, so they do that, the ritual to relieve the anxiety. Yes.
So different people have different rituals, so to speak, but it's just to distract them away from the anxiety that they're experiencing in the moment. And actually, the distraction never never allows them to deal with the root issue. Yeah. Okay, we have this question from Tina Low. Any program suitable for the youth mental patient? So someone who is still in recovery. Shameem?
Yes, there are a lot of programs out there, for example, like what I was talking about, touch youth intervention as well. So even if the youth is basically on medication or seeing a psychiatrist at IMH, they can still come on board for the program. So while still seeing the psychiatrist, there's no saying that, oh, if they're seeing a psychiatrist, they can't come for counseling at touch or any other program for that matter. They still can do it.
Wonderful, thank you.
I also know of another, our sister company, our sister organization, Resilience Collective. So they also cater to youth as well. So they can actually check them out as well. So their programs, they have got support groups, or they call it coffee time, to talk about issues. Yeah.
Yeah, I so I like exactly what you are sharing, right? In fact, even Mum Space. So just now I forgot to introduce in my excitement. Mum Space is really about creating a space for mums to connect, where we don't have to put on a front or pretend or put your best, like in this IG and this Facebook era where we smile just to show the best moments of our entire 1 month, maybe. Okay, this is a question from Jasari. How does one develop OCD? Can it be cured?
I think OCD develops definitely. Maybe it could be sometimes related to trauma. So something happens. For example, let's say you don't lock the house and suddenly gets robbed. Then you may have this anxiety, okay, I need to lock the house. I need to double check whether the house is locked. And that may actually escalate. And if it's not treated, it can really affect your life. And how is it treated? Definitely you have to go and see a psychiatrist, and maybe be put on some medication as well. How long? That will depend on what the doctor says.
And I also think that OCD, you also need a therapist, a psychotherapist to help you certain coping strategies to sort of ease yourself out of it. Yeah, it's a very long, drawn process.
Yeah, I so totally understand. I think OCD is formed really when there is no integration of what happened. So it's like part of me hasn't processed that. And because I haven't processed, it's like I haven't accepted it. And that's why it's like caught in a loop, right? That keeps a cycle internally that keeps being repeated because it's not integrated. Z always. I notice my son seems to have anxiety issue. How do I encourage my teenager son, thank you so much, to seek professional help? I have offered to bring him to seek counselor, but he rejects. What would you advise?
I'll definitely just be that support figure for him, because he may not be ready now to seek counselor. But what you can do is say, look, mommy and daddy is here for you, and give him the much support as possible. Try and encourage him as much as possible, during this time. Maybe spend more time with him. And do more activities. Tell him, look, you are safe here with mom and dad, and see how your son wants you to help him in that sense.
And I think if your child is not ready to seek help, I think then it's up to the parents, the parents themselves to seek help to help their children. So maybe go, like I would encourage them to come for our course and learn so that they can help. So the way, once you understand, you become a better caregiver.
Definitely. And Z, just an encouragement and a cheer to you. Even though sometimes as parents, we feel that we are incompetent because we think, I don't know enough. Just spend some time Googling, attending the courses. But I think you, in just interacting with them, in having conversation, in creating that safe space, you are their best counselor. Because parents, what I teach in my course really is we are our kids' superheroes. Even when they are teenagers, and at teenager, they will like give you the cold shoulder, roll eye, keep you at a distance. But if you really talk to a teenager, in their hearts, they still want your approval. In their hearts, you still are their hero or heroine. Okay, so take heart. You are the best, actually, counselor. Okay, the next question. Tan says, my son sees a psychiatrist at IMH, but refuses to see a psychologist. He feels like it does not have any effect for him. What should I do if he still persists? So, psychiatrist is someone who dispenses the medication, and psychologist is the therapy part. So, how? Charmaine?
I think it's the same. You know, maybe you can process with him, okay, what does he feel uncomfortable about seeing a therapist, for example? You really hear him out in that sense. And if he doesn't want to see a therapist, how else can you help him? You know, how parents can help him as well. And I think what Karen also mentioned as well, you know, they too can go to her course. And really, I know, because sometimes it's really when parents know more about the mental health issues, it's easy for them, or it becomes a little bit more simple for them to really address it at home. And sometimes it's our parents' own anxiety as well, reaching out to their kids. So we need to also take that into account.
Yeah, I also think that sometimes, you have to go around to a few therapists before you feel comfortable. It's not always the first one that you know is the perfect match. So don't be disheartened. I feel that explore with your child, and seek another therapist, and find one that will help and that your child is comfortable with.
Wonderful. Yeah, so it need not just be the one option, right? Like, example, food, you can and must only eat broccoli. No, there are so many other vegetables. If they don't like broccoli, it's fine. Try corn, which is yellow color, doesn't even look like veg. And then slowly, balance up that diet, right? There are many ways, many solutions. Okay, I saw the next question from Samantha. Wow, I can't even read this. So, dermatillomania. Okay, dermatillomania or excoriation disorder is a mental health condition related to OCD. It is characterized by repeatedly picking at one's own skin, which results in skin lesions and causes significant disruption in one's life. Wow, what do we do, when we talk about self-harm? Charmaine?
This one, I think you need to see a professional. The doctor definitely can actually address this, seeking whether it be medication or get therapy about it to address the anxiety or the OCD part.
And I think because it involves the skin, you also need to see a dermatologist, a skin specialist, and so I think here you need to see a psychiatrist for the medication, and then you need a therapist to help, to address the OCD issue, and then because it involves the skin, so a dermatologist as well.
Wonderful. And I want to take this time, right, to invite viewers, because as I read through the questions, I think what keeps coming to mind is let's reach out to the professionals, whether it's Google, and you don't have to necessarily engage the first professional that you meet, but you can just shop around until you find either a course or a professional that you are comfortable with, because different folks, different strokes, right? And I think that would do much, much more in the entire recovery, instead of just, okay, I take the first professional who comes along. Yeah, so take time to find a good match. Yeah.
And it's always okay to have a second opinion. So yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Wonderful. Okay. The next question that I have here is, I wonder if my son has developed a resilience to medicine since he sees the psychiatrist but refuses to see the psychologist. Your thoughts? Addiction to medication, possible?
That depends what
Nathaniel.
medication he's on, So you can sometimes become reliant on medication. Yeah. But that's something to really be discussed with the psychiatrist as well. Because, but do tell us, tell the psychiatrist why you feel that he's addicted to this medication, and is there any other medication or any other way maybe can help the child.
Sometimes I think if the son believes that the medication can alleviate his symptoms, and without seeing a psychologist, I think it's okay. Until when he's ready. Yeah. So not necessary that every time, every case, we need both parties.
Which brings me to a point that earlier you brought up. I think often, sometimes it's parents, our projection. So what I talk about is my own fears. Actually, there's nothing one. Let's say I see a cat, but the cat reminds me of the trauma I used to have. I tell my child, you better be careful, the cat will. But actually it's just me projecting my fears from my past and actually onto someone else. So I think what I'm hearing, right, is really, let's open up spaces and really learn to begin to have conversations with our children and dance in the conversation. So there is no right or wrong way. I think the more conversations we have, the better we understand our child and we allow ourselves to make mistakes and we engage in the entire conversation, yeah? So this is from Fizz 2. How early is too early in monitoring the mental health behavior of my child? As young as 2 years old? Is that too early? I think how I would rephrase this, right, is when we talk about, because, one end we can swing from like, I'm so busy as a parent that I may not have time to even notice any observable signs and symptoms, right? And I think swinging to the other end, we may be overly protective and uncertain, So what is the definition of mental health? Like, if we can share with the audience, when we talk about mental health,
So,
For me, I think being a mother, like autism, as early as possible, if they can be picked up. Usually, if you have a pediatrician, your pediatrician should be able to help you pick up early signs of autism, and then early intervention. They can live a very normal life. Other than that, I think as they grow older, they have such a thing called psychosomatic physical symptoms, like pain here, pain there, and actually they actually do not have any so-called medical issues. Sometimes they're just suffering from some anxiety issues. So that one you can of course discuss with the doctor, and if there is no medical issues, then maybe there is some I suppose anxiety issues there.
Yeah.
yeah, I have to agree with Karen. That's one, the mom or the father should check with the pediatrician, to find out a little bit more if everything is okay with the child. Because I do believe that the children have to go through certain growth developmental stage, and it's good to check in with the doctor whether the child has reached the milestone for that developmental stage as well. Answering your question, what is really mental health, is basically when really this mental health issues really affecting your daily activities in life. It's impairing you from growing, from doing things that you love. It's really affecting you, stopping you. So that's how we define as mental health.
Okay. When it affects
Yeah.
my regular life,
Correct.
that's when we should
When
take
it
note.
impairs your daily functioning.
I also think that sometimes children, if they cry a lot or they become very attached, they may have some attachment issues. So that is one form of mental health issues, and you can explore with the pediatrician. And sometimes they cry, you don't know what they're crying about, or they may be bullied in school or in the childcare center. So the refusal to go to a childcare center or keep crying before that, these are so-called common symptoms, signs and symptoms to look out for. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I think this is where I want to say, right, the mental and the emotions are very interconnected. And even, that's why you say psychosomatic, right? Mind, body, and spirit, mind, emotions, and body is a lot more connected than we know. So instead of divorcing them, separating them, and dealing with them in isolation, just, deal with the entire human body, yeah? It's been a very good session. I want to ask any parting words from Karen or Charmaine for our viewers tonight.
Okay, maybe basically I can just share the last bit is that I think for mental health issues, it really takes like a whole family, whole community to really work, to really support that person throughout the journey. Because if the person can't do it on his or her own self and they really need help from the family members, professional help, the community as well. And I really hope that more people will reach out or recommend others they may see who may be suffering from mental health issues and tell them, look, it's okay to not be okay and help is always out there for them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Charmaine. Karen?
Yeah, as for myself, I wanted to share with my viewers what I have learned in my own life. I came across this Japanese art called kintsugi, and it is actually the art of putting together a broken bowl, a bowl that is broken, that means broken into many pieces, porcelain bowl, and they use gold to patiently, lovingly put it back together. So when our loved one, we feel that their life might have shattered and we thought that is the end. It's not, because I believe, understanding their art, we can help them put their life back together with love and patience, and then it becomes a masterpiece, a piece of art, and a unique piece. So take heart there.
I think that's such a beautiful analogy in the way you wrap it up, because the mainstream stereotypical concept is this is how things should be. The bowl should not be broken. And then when it's broken, we think, all is lost. Yet, when we look at how life happens for me and we use gold to begin to mend back, we create an entire new masterpiece in itself, which is so priceless. I think that's so beautifully shared, Karen. Okay, and in wrapping up, BTL wants to say that it's really the stigma that prevents people from seeking help. So when we talk about the stigma, it's the prejudices, the fear of what others will think, of what I think of myself. So sometimes it may not be what other people think, but me, I can't even cross my own hurdle. And that's why I choose to just keep quiet about it and try to toughen it out. Because I think too often we celebrate being strong in today's culture. But just like, I think, to normalize it, like what we shared earlier, if you have diabetes, for example, or if you have a cut, it's so normal to go to the doctor. Let's normalize mental health, right? If you suspect something, go have it checked out. That's it. No need to create a big drama and get too overly concerned. Get the professional help. And we want to again reiterate that you are not alone. And when we say you're not alone, we're not just saying about your family. We are saying there's so many organizations, Touch, Cal, Beyond the Label, so many movements creating a united message in saying that it could be that stranger, it could be that classmate of yours. Reach out to them, make a difference. Finally, speak to your loved ones. Seek help early because it really makes a difference. The earlier there's intervention. And finally, I want to remind us, remember Bell, the BTL's help board, 24/7 available. Just go online, where it's a wonderful resource center that you will be able to just seek information about the different mental health services available in Singapore in a very secure and private way. So thank you, everyone, and you have a blessed start to your entire weekend. Bye, and continue to join BTL's fest throughout the whole month. We've got many different activities lined up for you. Bye.
Don't wanna be this way, yeah. Don't you worry. Take your time, take it slowly. No, don't give in so easily. Yeah, you deserve to be free, yeah. Stop this thinking, take a breath, stop your doubt and know. Don't you see toxicity? and worrying has no meaning. I don't wanna be this way. It's never easy feeling like you're so alone, and your heart feels like a stone. Think about it night and day, wondering if you'll be okay. I'm here in this place once again, suffocating. It's drowning me too deep. I know I've gotta stop this, oh yeah. Don't you worry, take your time, take it slowly. No, don't give in so easily. Yeah, you deserve to be free, yeah. Stop this thinking, take a breath, stop your doubting. No, don't you see, toxicity and worrying has no meaning. I don't wanna be this way. Navigating through the clutter in my mind, I do this all the time. Think about all you've done, it's a journey. Just know that you deserve it. Look ahead and keep on walking, walking towards the light. Oh yeah, stop this thinking, take a breath, stop your doubting. No, don't you see, toxicity and worrying has no meaning. I don't wanna be this way. Help me find the happy side of me, of me. Help me find the stronger part of me, of me. Turn around, give yourself the permission. Just know that you deserve it. But sometimes I get scared and dismissive. Don't wanna be this way, don't wanna be this way, yeah. Don't you worry, take your time, take it slowly. No, don't give in so easily. Yeah, you deserve to be free, yeah. Stop this thinking, take a breath, stop your doubting. No, don't you see, toxicity and worry